Hi, welcome to today's LinkedIn Live. I'm Bridget Pepe, manager at ProcureAbility, and I am so excited to be joined today by Emily Cole, co-founder of Fans First Entertainment, the company that brought you Banana Ball, which now has an incredible 6 teams, including the world-famous Savannah Bananas, widely known as the greatest show in sports. If you've seen them dance, playing kilts, or turn a rain delay into full-blown conga line, which I have, you know they've turned baseball upside down and made it work. So today we're going to explore what procurement leaders can learn from the Bananas about innovation, fan engagement, and thriving under pressure, even when the game throws you curveballs. So Emily, welcome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to join us today. We're super excited. And if anybody joining has a question, you can throw it in the chat and we'll be monitoring that. So Emily, let's start with, could you just give us the 60-second version of who the Bananas are and what makes them so different?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. What an honor to be here with you guys. Great group. But yeah, who we are, gosh, in 60 seconds. So we started as a traditional baseball team. Honestly, my husband played baseball growing up, and I've been in the sports industry for a long time. And so all we knew was tried and true baseball. But we saw an opportunity. We saw that the sport was slow and boring and long for some people, not for everybody, but for some, as our attention spans are shortening in this day and age and in this society where you can have everything at your fingertips in moments. And so we looked at it as an opportunity to create something that was faster and more exciting. And so we started by looking at all the friction points in the game and turning them on their head. One of our mottos is whatever is normal, do the exact opposite. And so we just created new rules for this new sport that we now call Banana Ball. And again, started small just in Savannah, and it has fortunately grown to the point where we have over 4 million people on a wait list. And we are traveling all over the country this year, bringing this show and bringing this entertainment to people so that they don't all have to come to Savannah to see it in our small stadium. But we're now going to 45 of the 50 states this year and trying to reach as many fans as possible this next year. So just basically creating joy, having fun, lots of dance and music, but still at its core, a competitive sport. So yes, very different than your traditional grandfather's baseball game.
Yes, it definitely is. It's a lot of fun. And, you know, in procurement, we're challenged with the same things, right? Sometimes we could be seen as a friction point. So how do we innovate? How do we become better partners, keep our stakeholders engaged, and just keep delivering results, you know, no matter what gets thrown our way. So, okay, so let's go on to our next section. So you took, like you said, a 150-year-old sport steeped in tradition, and you've turned it into a highlight reel of constant entertainment. In the same procurement, we face a lot of legacy processes and mindsets, right? So it could be just as traditional and hard to break that mold. So can you walk us through, like, what gave you the courage to take that risk in changing something so traditional and something people hold like really passionate and dear?
Yeah, well, when we first launched, you know, we first of all didn't know it was going to be this big. And so what we were just trying to achieve was to create something fun and entertaining for just the people in our circle who wanted it. We are not trying to come in and push baseball out. We're not trying to take over the game that the traditionalists love. We're just trying to offer something supplemental, something different. And so by going in with that mindset, it really was the abundance mindset of, hey, we all have a place here. We just want to come in and create something different. I think that has helped just forming the entire sport and the league as we go. Is we're just trying to create something fun that we would enjoy. And if other people choose to enjoy that, great. But it was never this goal to make it massive or to take over the world or to push another sport out. And so I think maybe just that humbling, smaller mindset of we want everybody to win is what gave us the courage to really do it. Is we didn't know we were climbing a mountain when we first started it. And that has kept us going too, is this more people are saying, okay, I am interested. I want to get involved. That's why it has grown. But yeah, that was just the original mindset. And I think what gave us the courage was just that we knew it was something some people wanted. And so we just started small by giving it to them. Of course, over time that has evolved, but still, we're still trying to serve just the people who want to come in. We're still not trying to attract all of the traditionalists or say that we're for everybody. That's not the case. We're not for everybody, and we're totally okay with that. So I think that has been our biggest, one of our biggest success helpers is that it's just us staying focused on who we are and who we're supposed to serve.
I love that. I love that, who we are and who we're supposed to serve. I think that that's a great mindset that we can kind of rethink, right? What is our purpose here? What are we here to do? It's not just about what we think should be done and, oh, this is how it's always been done, or this is the right way to do it, in our stakeholder relationships, our RFP processes, how we engage with our suppliers, how we even measure our success is all things that we can kind of look at, like, and just think, okay, is there a way to do this better? So you made baseball faster, funner, and fans first. And we can do the same thing by making it faster, more collaborative, and stakeholder first.
Yeah.
I kind of started trying to focus my mindset this a couple years ago when I read Fans First, the book by your husband. And it was very mind blowing. Like, I never thought to apply those principles in my everyday life, and it can really turn around how you build relationships, how you gain trust, so that you can do more and help more. And I think that's what you've done so successfully with your fans is build that trust. Like you said, we're not trying to take away your baseball. We're just trying to make it a little different. And I love that so much.
Thank you.
So your guiding principle is fans first, right?
Yep.
And procurement leaders really should start thinking about our fans, our internal stakeholders, our suppliers, our customers. What are some of the ways that you go above and beyond to delight your fans? And how does this direct what your team focuses on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, it's such a great question, because as we grow, we are continuously reminding ourselves, hey, this is the North Star. This is what we need to come back to. Because as an organization grows, there's just other things that come up. There are just other, politics and responsibilities and things that come in. And so we have to continue reminding ourselves, who are we serving? What are we here for? A great example is something that we're doing this week. This is a big time of year for us. People don't realize that because there aren't any shows or any live games, but merchandise is a huge part of our business. And this is, of course, the shopping season. And so we have thousands and thousands of orders coming in every single day. And what we're doing this week is everybody in the company, staff, cast, players, everybody who works for Fans First Entertainment is taking like 10 to 20 orders, and they're calling those people and they're just saying, thank you for making this order. And it ends up being phone calls that go 30 minutes. So we find out about their lives and we're just talking to them. But an example like that is true to who we are. We're going back to our roots, where we used to call every single person who bought a ticket and merchandise. That is unfortunately unscalable now that it's in the millions. But just taking a chunk of fans and a chunk of orders and going back and having everybody in our company have that touch point, that personal conversation, it's reminding us of who we're serving. And I love those little surprise and delights that we have. Often people will say, oh, did my credit card not go through? Or, why are you calling? But when we say it's just to say thank you, it is such a full of joy moment where they are just so surprised and so delighted by that act. And so things like that are things that we try to bring into our lives whenever we can, to just, again, remind us who we're serving.
That's awesome. I love that. That's such an amazing, like, I could just imagine as a fan, right, placing an order and then getting a phone call from a player. That would just be like incredible, right? Or just, thinking about people who put their heart and souls into this, they love you guys so much. Like, that is such an amazing thing that you do to go above and beyond. And, I think maybe that's something in corporate America we don't always do, right? In procurement or whatever your department is take a step back and like thank the people that you work with, thank them for being there and supporting you. I think it can go a really long way. In measuring your success. I was going to ask you how you measure your success, but it's very obvious, right? With millions and millions of people on a wait list to see your show, I think you've been successful.
Yeah, we're very fortunate, very grateful.
Yeah. Absolutely. I like to think, like, imagine if I walked into a procurement meeting, right? Like, we're going to go over some boring analysis, but I made it high, we made it high energy. We made everybody feel a part of, we dropped our procurement jargon and really thought about what the business, how they talk and what they understand.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key to building that trust. And then the long-term relationships that are built off that. And then we need to measure our stakeholder satisfaction, is just as important as, people think procurement, purchasing, sourcing, supply chain, it's all about our savings. What value can you bring? Our value is more than just cost savings, right? There's more to it. And I think that, I've heard you all talk about, right, like you don't do sponsorships, you don't do certain things because you've gained the trust of your supporters, and that's all you need. They support you, how you need.
Yeah, that's absolutely our mindset. That's who we serve. And so that's who we need to think about every day. And we don't think that our fans come to a sporting event to be sold or to see a billboard in the outfield. And so we try to put ourselves in our fans' shoes every step of the way, including, okay, I'm sitting in a seat. Would I rather see a beautiful backdrop or a bunch of signs? And so, yeah, that's how we made that decision.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that so much. So I want to pivot a little bit about like the curveballs, right? So in banana ball, in baseball, and in business, we always have surprises, weather delays, player injuries, and in our case, supply chain disruptions, budget cuts get thrown at us all the time. Can you tell us about a time or two when something went wrong, but you were able to turn it into an opportunity?
Oh my gosh, which time? Well, as a company, we believe in taking tests and doing small bets all the time. So we really don't try to look at things as failures. We look at, it sounds rah, but we really do look at them as opportunities. And in our entertainment, every single night, we are testing 10 to 15 new promotions that we have never done before in front of a live audience. Obviously, most of them are not going to work, but it does lead us to a few that do work. And so, first of all, I think the lens of when something goes wrong, how do you adapt to it? We just expect a lot of things to not be great, but what are we learning from them is truly the mindset of our whole company. But there are times that something truly does break, right? A supply chain goes down, like that is truly broken. You can, no matter which way you spin it. For us, one of the big ones that comes to mind was just the whole time of COVID. Again, not something that we could control, but as an entertainment company, this is a massive disruptor to our whole business model. And it would have been very easy for us to just say, we got to sit at home, or we got to close our doors, or, the world is shut down. But what it caused us to do is think creatively outside of the box. And that was such a time of growth for our company. Looking back now, I'm so grateful for just the challenges and the adversity that it forced us to think a different way. We always say that constraints foster creativity. And it's so true. We would not have come up with a lot of the things that we do now if we had not been forced to during that time. So just a few examples is one of our specialty drinks that we had at the stadium is called the Slippery Banana. And we created a slippery banana drive-through during COVID. Everything was shut down. They could not come to a game, but people missed this drink. And so we somehow got this special permit, and we made batches of this special drink that they would have at our games. And we set up a to-go drive-through in our parking lot, and cars would drive up, and with our gloves and mask on, we would hand them this drink. And so something like that, it was a way for us to connect with our fans when we wouldn't normally have been able to during that season. We also created a really fun music video to the song, I'm Dancing With Myself. And we had all of our fans and our players and our staff record themselves dancing to that and send it in. And then our video team mashed it up, and we put out a music video during this time, just a mashup. It was very silly, but those were things that were not on our docket. They were not on our marketing calendar. Our food and beverage team was not ready to create those drinks, but it forced us into that. And so it was just a way for us to think outside of the box, go above and beyond, again, for our fans. That's who we're trying to connect with. And so something went wrong, but we were able to quickly pivot and adjust and honestly create more fans out of something that, when you first look at it, is detrimental to your company. If you look at it a different way, it can hopefully create more long-term fans in the long run.
Yeah, I love that. We have a question I was gonna
get
to. Let's see. So the question was, curious which business, sports, and innovative leaders that you took inspiration from when putting together the original vision for the league.
Oh, this is so good. Yeah, so as a company, we are all lifelong learners. We have a book club, so we're constantly reading. We are always sharing articles and podcasts. But I would say that Walt Disney, P.T. Barnum, Steve Jobs probably has influenced us the most from a business standpoint. We have read, Jesse especially, has read every single thing on them and their decision making. and how they created the worlds that they created. And so we've learned a lot from them from a business standpoint. There are, of course, other companies that we study from a culture standpoint, and there are other categories, but from a business and a leadership standpoint, those are some of the big ones that stand out to us.
I love that. Yeah, I recently, Simon Sinek, his Start With Why, it's been a huge influence on me and just along the theme of what we've been talking about, how to reshape that mindset. Why are we here? What are we supposed to be doing? And I think it's important, when something fails, when you try something and it fails, just keep pivoting to innovation. In procurement, we have supply chain disruptions. COVID was a hard time for everybody. Plant goes down overseas and all your parts stop coming, it happens. So you need to look at new vendors, technology, changing how you build something. These are all different things that we can look at. And I think the key thing is the mindset of embracing that agility instead of just going by your old playbook, right? Just embrace it, go for it. It might work, it might not work, but do your best, do your best research and go for it. So I love that risk taking.
Oh yeah, we're not new to that.
Okay, so you've created this incredible culture that attracts talent and keeps people energized. What's your secret to keeping your players, your staff, and your fans so engaged and loyal?
I love this topic so much because we really do believe that our culture is our secret sauce. I mean, it is so powerful what we have as a nucleus and how we work together. And for us, it's a little bit more unique than a typical business that we work together, but we live together, we travel together. I mean, we are with these people 24/7, really. And it's funny because Jesse and I, my husband and I, own the company together and run the company together. And so we always joke that it would be very hypocritical of us if we did not allow people to date and or get married within the company. So our company is made up of a lot of families. It's a lot of couples. It's a lot of people who have either started working for us and then they've brought in their significant other, or they've come to us single and they have found their significant other in the company. And so first, I'll just say that we protect our culture so much and that we really look at ourselves as a family. And I know that that is controversial in the business world. Like sometimes you can say I love you and some people don't agree with that. And sometimes it's okay to act like a family and some people don't love that. But for us, it works that we really are a family, and it truly is that in all senses of the word. But I think because we are so intentional about that culture is why it is so strong. We protect it at all costs, and we are constantly getting together. Like I said, we live together, we work together, we travel together. So we're already together a lot. But on top of that, we are planning fun outings all the time to get together. And now we're at a point where we don't all live in Savannah. We have a ton of remote people, but we are constantly super intentional about getting together, both for work and for fun things. And at the beginning of every weekend and at the end of every weekend, and that's every weekend of the year pretty much that we're playing games. So at the start and the finish, we gather as a group and we talk about fans' first moments. We remind each other through stories and emails and comments who we're serving. We talk about the celebrities who are going to be there that night. And I don't mean the celebrities in the sense of somebody famous who's on TV. I talk about, the little boy that just rang the bell and is getting out of the hospital because he's overcome cancer. That is the celebrity who we are all focused on celebrating him that night. And so by having that intentional conversation at the beginning of every weekend and then at the end of every weekend and shouting out each other and saying, I saw Max go up to the top deck and he was with this family and this story happened. And we shout each other out and we talk about all those fans' first moments. We're just constantly reminding each other and talking about who and what is important, and that is each other and the people who we're serving every night. I don't know if there is another company out there that is as intentional about that as us. Like we are doing this 24/7. We have a shout out page on all of our chats, and we're so constantly focused on this that it's something I'm super passionate about. Obviously, you could tell I light up when I talk about this. But I am so proud of our culture and the people that we serve and the people who we do it alongside. And that's something that we're just always focused on. I think that you have to be, because like I said earlier, you get pulled in a million directions as you grow. And so if we do not come back to that, we will lose it. And that's our secret sauce right now. And so very hyper focused on that, the culture.
I love that. I love it. Our company is really good about, they're very people for like they're people first, right? So I feel like our company already has kind of like a fans first approach in that, we're all remote. We do get together once or twice a year, and it's important to really, do that stuff. And I think what people need to, again, changing your mindset, bring that to the corporate world, right? Be intentional, say thank you, talk about what went right, what went wrong. I think it's super important to do that constantly, and because it just keeps building the relationships, and then people are going to want to come to you for help. They're going to want to keep doing things with you and projects and all that kind of stuff. In procurement, we talk a lot about getting a seat at the table, being involved early in conversation so we can bring value. And I think if you have that mindset, that culture of I'm putting you first, I genuinely care about you and what you're doing, then I think you will get that seat at the table. It'll be super easy because they're just always going to think of you. And that just, we shift the focus from that short-term transactional mindset to this long-term relationship mindset, I think is really important.
Yeah, it is. And when you said the remote thing, that just reminded me that I think that's something that a lot of us, well, really, the whole world, the whole country right now is going through that challenge of, I don't work with my coworker anymore. I work with them, but I don't really work with them. We have found that the turning the camera on and just seeing somebody and talking to them is so important. We have gotten very big on turning our cameras around and shooting videos and sending them to each other when we have a question rather than typing it in an email. We do a lot of audio messages where we just send the voice to each other to ask questions. And there are apps, there's things like Marco Polo that you can do, or there's other apps, but we just do the recording on our phones and send them to each other. And that has kept our people really close. I think that you might be on the other side of the country, but just by seeing each other's faces and hearing each other's voice all day long, it's kept us really close. And we feel like we know our coworkers who are really not with us. We get to know them a lot better. And so that's something I challenge everybody with who's remote is, how many text messages have you sent today with a video of you, or were they all just words, right? And how many audio messages have you sent, and how much closer will you be with a coworker? How much more quickly will you bond with them if they get to see you and hear you? So that's just a fun challenge.
I love that so much. We have another audience question I want to get to. The question is, you've taken on new venues, college stadiums, et cetera, that present unique challenges that you hadn't faced before. How did you go about taking on that change?
Yeah, well, this is something that honestly we're still working through because every single week we are in a new stadium, and now we're at the point where we have 6 teams, and so every weekend we have 2 in this state and 2 in this state and 2 in another state, and so your real life in the moment going through new challenges, and you don't have your whole team together because you're spread out all over. And so I will say that we use the word or the phrase prehab instead of rehab. We try to get ahead of as many problems as we can. And so one of the things in this specific question that I think we have done that's worked really well is we do site visits on all of our stadiums. And so this is our downtime. This time of year, we don't have any live events, but our team is spread out all over the country right now, meeting with security teams and venues and managers of different cities and just all the people who are going to be the stakeholders in those events. And we're meeting with them now and saying, okay, this event is in 8 months. Let's go down the checklist. Now, we've met face to face. Again, we know how important that is. And we just try to get ahead of all of those things. We walk the grounds. We have a layout with the security team. Like, we're getting ahead of a lot of the things that arise on the day of an event. And so I think that has helped us a lot by just getting ahead and doing those intentional site visits and working through the plans with people in person on site before we actually get there with the whole crew.
That's, amazing. Definitely that proactive mindset instead of reactive is super important. And I think, I try and do that, when we're thinking about a project, let's lay out what are all the things we think can go wrong up front, and how are we going to pivot, during just brainstorm and taking from past experience and stuff. So that's awesome. We are getting close on time. So I just wanted to thank you again. I just also kind of wanted to wrap up and just remind everybody who's watching that we challenge you to break the mold when tradition holds you back. Don't be afraid to do that. Put your fans first, your suppliers, your stakeholders included, and turn those curveballs into opportunities. So thank you again, Emily. We want to encourage everybody, please check out the Savannah Bananas, and also near and dear to my heart, their charity Bananas Foster, which Emily and team has started to support the foster community. So please check them out. Check out our ProcureAbility LinkedIn and websites as well. You can subscribe to us for insights on our latest thought leadership. And we also invite you to join our next LinkedIn Live with SIG, featuring my colleague, Andrew Bosley, on Wednesday, January 7th at 12 p.m. Eastern. The title is Sustainability in Sync, Aligning Short-Term Action with Long-Term Value, which we touched on a little bit today. And just remember, whether you're running a baseball team or a procurement function, it's all about making the game worth playing. Emily, thank you again so much for your time.